Something.
It's like, no matter where you go,
There, oh, no.
there you are. Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order, the City of Oak Park Heights Planning Commission meeting Thursday, October 14th. Right now it's 6:03. I'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, very good. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Does anybody have anything that they want to add or talk about, or? If not, do I have a
I
motion?
make a motion, we approve the agenda.
Motion to approve, is there a second?
I second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, we have to approve the minutes of the Thursday, September 9th meeting. I looked these over pretty carefully. I didn't see anything. Does anybody else have anything to?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, motion to
Second.
approve. And a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, Department Commission Liaison, other reports? Does, Chuck, do you have anything to?
No, I don't have anything other than it's great to be here. I forgot about, so nice you have candy available.
Yeah. Well, you have to thank Julie for that, I
Yeah.
think. I think she's the one for that. Thank you. Eric, have you got anything? Okay. Okay, we'll move on to visitors and public comment. This is the opportunity for the public to address the Planning Commission with questions or concerns not on the agenda. Is there anybody here that wants to hop up to the? Darn, I thought he was going to too. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Next, we have public hearings. First one is DRF Stillwater Dental. Scott?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Russ Hedlund has made an application to remove the existing buildings and construct a new dental clinic and office building at 13961 60th Street North. Application is for design standards review and site plan review, as well as a preliminary and final plat. There's 3 lots out there. Our ordinance would require anything over 2 to be platted as a preliminary and final plat. So they have submitted that information to us. They're looking at constructing a building in 2 phases. The first being 6,000 square feet for Park Dental, St. Croix Valley, and the second phase of 3,000 square feet to include a complementary type use. The project narrative kind of goes through a little bit more detail of what they're proposing. No issues with the comprehensive plan. Obviously, this is designated as commercial zoning. It's Zone B4 Limited Business District. And the uses that they're proposing are all permitted uses. Again, preliminary final plat, they have submitted that. And, that's just, do not see any issues with it, but subject to final review by the city attorney and city engineer. Site plan, all the 3 buildings that are on the site would be removed. Construction of the 1 building. The existing dental building will remain during construction, and then once the new building opens and they're able to occupy that, the old building will go down. One thing, they have not given us a timeline for construction of the second phase, but representatives of the, and Ross is here tonight, he can probably give a little bit more detail, because that might be a question that we have. No issues with the setbacks. The chair had mentioned that the minimum requirement for the driveway is only 5 feet, and they've got more than 5 feet. Again, there's some flexibility there in that driveway if you want to push that closer to that east property line, but that's certainly optional. The traffic circulation curb cuts, they're going down to just the 1 curb cut that's on the east side of the property. One note, we always send plans like this for new construction over to the fire chief. The fire chief had indicated that there may be some issues with their ladder truck, and again, I don't have an update on that, so Ross, if you have anything more on that, that'd be good. Snow storage, I assume they're going to push snow to that back area of the lot, but we typically do require a snow removal plan. Parking, we're more than fine with the 66 stalls that they have proposed. The required for this site, for the entire building would be, both phases would be 44. Landscaping, the city arborist had a few comments that are attached. Nothing major to the project. Lighting, all parking lot lighting, and nothing that was shown at least for building lighting, but anything they propose would be subject to final review and approval and would be done at building permit. Trash storage, there's a trash storage container, mechanical screening. They have screening on part of the architectural feature of the building is the screening feature on the roof. And the city engineer has provided a separate report on the grading, drainage, erosion control, et cetera. Signage, the plans that were submitted and sent to you did not include a freestanding sign. Just a couple days ago, we did hear from the applicants that they may be proposing a freestanding sign that's certainly allowable with this proposal. There was, Julie had made a copy that's on your desk that shows up in that upper left-hand corner of the site, potentially a sign in that location, just conforming to city signage. We do have a condition already in the report that all the signage needs to comply. So as part of building permit, if they come in with a pylon sign that meets all the requirements, that certainly certainly could be allowed. The wall signage is also compatible with the requirements of the ordinance. Gone through, there's some comments even made before the meeting that it appears to be a very attractive building. It is nice use of materials, some different roof heights. It's just not a flat roofed building. It again will be a nice improvement to that area. So I don't know if you have any questions on any of the design review, but overall I think everything looked good on that. But we would require a bike rack. I know that's why you came, Mr. Craver. So the conditions are listed in the report. And one thing we may want to talk a little bit about is that second phase, again, with timing. I don't see a need. I think the plans are complete enough that they don't need to come back in for the second phase. But we may want to put a time limit on that or a condition that says if there's any changes to that second phase in appearance or whatever, that they would have to come through again. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
that's something that I think maybe we should add to that list as I've looked at it. That's a little further.
That'd be after the bike rack or before?
So any questions of the Planning Commission?
I have some questions for the applicant. I think they're gonna, I'll just wait and ask them.
Okay.
Does anybody else have questions for the staff?
I was just trying to understand the image here. Is that going to be facing 36 or is that facing inward or?
That's actually facing south.
Okay.
So that you drive it.
Yep.
It looks just as nice on the other side if you look
I
at
was just
the
curious.
architect's thing. But people will go around the back and park there, and then that'll be the main entrance is from behind, so.
And then my only other question was the limited business district in which medical clinics, offices, and retail space. So are they going to try to maintain a clinic and things like that, or any retail can move in there?
I think it's B4, and B4 is part of that. The business you're talking about is in the comp plan.
Okay.
And
Yeah, B4 Limited Business District does allow for retail, office, medical, all is permitted uses. So.
Okay.
I mean, they could do, let's say, a medical service retail type of operation or something like that too. That would certainly be
And I think that we can have the applicant talk about potential uses for that second building. It sounded like from what they've turned in with the application that they're looking for some compatible kind of a use, so, I mean, that makes sense. It still has to meet, it either has to meet the permitted uses in the B4, or it has to come here for a conditional use permit if they pick something that's outside of that, the permitted uses. So we're not really giving anything up by that. I mean, and I think, like Scott said, I think we can probably, go forward and just put something in there that says as long as they don't change anything for that second building, they don't have to come back, but, because it looks pretty straightforward the way it is, so. Anyways,
So for that phase 2 signage part though, if we don't know who's gonna be in there, do we have to put a stipulation about, all right, you got 2 signs, 48 square feet each? That's the parameter, or do we need to add that?
I believe, how did I have that worded? So all signs should be designed to comply with the zoning ordinance requirements
Yeah.
for size, number, and illumination. Again, just a general statement. So whenever they come in, build that building, they put together the sign package, it'll just have to meet the requirements.
Right.
If they want to do something different, they're gonna have to come through another,
Yeah.
another condition.
otherwise, staff is still looking at it when they get their permits. so.
Absolutely, yeah. Julie is an eagle eye one.
Yeah, the eagle eye.
That doesn't surprise you, I'm sure.
Okay, any other questions for staff?
I just always have the question of, is there gonna be a big jump in traffic? Or I'm assuming it'll probably stay about the same if they already have that dental business in there?
Yeah, there's a dental clinic there now, I don't know, I think we can ask the applicant about those issues a little bit, I guess, for what they might know. If they don't have a tenant identified, it's gonna be hard to know about the second building, but,
Sure,
so, okay.
thank you.
Okay, we'd like to invite the applicant to come up and make a statement before we open the public hearing.
Thank you. My name is Ross Hedlund. I'm with Frauenschuh with a address of 7101 West 78th Street in Bloomington. Thank you for having us here tonight. We're really excited about the project, and thanks to Scott and Julie and Eric for all the work to help us get us here. Our long-term partner, Park Dental, is definitely very excited too. They're in a very old building out there currently. And so I know that they acquired the building, or we acquired the building with them a few years ago. And it's been a dream to be able to get a redevelopment completed, and so now we're excited to bring that through to fruition. I know the question came up on the ladder trucks. We are working with that. Our civil engineer Laux is addressing that with the fire chief. I believe it's been resolved, and I know they're working through that a little bit more, but we definitely want to make sure that that's safe as well. And I know we do have some kind of backup plans just in case the fire chief doesn't believe that it'd work. We do have a little bit more parking than required, and I think we could move some parking stalls and get that to work as well. Heard some comments about the bike rack. Of course, we're definitely open to a bike rack. So no issues there. And we do have our architect, Jonah with SRA here tonight as well. They've done a lot of great buildings for Park Dental and for us over the years. And they can answer any questions about any of the design or other items, but I think they've put together a very good building. We're definitely very concerned about the image, both from 36 and then also with the entry on the back. So we did do four-sided architecture to try to make sure that the building looks good from all angles. Part of the goal was to bring the building up to the road, so that way there's not kind of a sea of parking, facing 36 and create a good kind of welcoming environment there. So that's what kind of drove a little bit of that architecture. And then the question on phase 2, so we do need Park Dental desires to be open continuously. So that's the part of the phasing for the project. So the earliest we would conceivably do phase 2 would be in the spring of 2023. Which would be after the new building's been opened. They would move over to the new building, and then we'd be able to demolish the existing building. That being said, we do not have a use set for the new building yet, so ideally it'd be something complementary like a dermatology or pediatric clinic or other uses like that. We did just start marketing that phase 2 to see if we can find some uses, and certainly if you guys hear of anything in the community that's needed or anybody that's looking, would love to hear and entertain any of that. But we don't have anything for timing, and so if we do not find somebody that would be a good fit for that, may not may not be for several years, or other things as well, but hopefully we find somebody.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we were thinking about was making sure that there are permitted uses in that B4 district. As long as you get something that's on the list of permitted uses, you won't need to come back here, the way we have it drafted right now. But if there was a business that was allowed as a conditional use, then you might have to come back and get a conditional use permit, but.
Thank you, yep, and that would be fantastic from our perspective, so.
Yeah.
And we're here to answer any other questions that the commissioners may have.
Okay, the question that I have, the existing building, when I went out there, I didn't see any of the plan sheets that had an overlay that showed where the existing building is as it relates to the edge of the new building. And it looks like they're right on top of each other.
Yeah.
I mean, I just kind of laid them together and I thought, well, how's that gonna work? There's like a 3-foot overhang on that building and it,
It looks really close on the
yeah,
construction.
it does. So,
They're very tight. It's something that we've worked through with our construction partner on the
Okay,
project. and
okay.
that plan,
it was one of those silly questions. I mean, I know that you obviously have to look at that, but I'm just looking at it, scratching my head going, how's that gonna work?
I believe the distance is 6 feet, Commissioner. I'd have to double check that with our team, but we did
Yeah,
look
well,
into that
even
and have that
even
concern
the,
as well.
The
Yeah.
construction limits for phase 1 thing
If
shows
you,
it.
if you pull up Exhibit 18 on the screen there, it shows kind of a really good overview of where the new building will be and where the existing buildings are.
Yeah, but they look like they're,
They're very
Like
close
that
to
line
each
is
other,
very
Commissioner. Yeah.
I would say one and the same. So, and I thought maybe there's something in the back of that building that you don't need right now.
We are planning to keep it 100% open, so it's going to be,
Okay.
it is going to be very close,
All right.
Commissioner. And I think with the final construction documents, I believe it was 6 feet, but it's going to be, take a
I know
lot of
that-
care.
I know that the building inspector will look at that carefully when you come in with the, the building plans, so,
Absolutely.
yeah. Okay, well, does anybody else have any questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I do have, Julie requested a physical version of the.
Oh, yes.
So I've got that here as well.
Okay.
Is it something we can pass around or?
The glass thing
Or
was
maybe
what I
if you
was
just
Or just do a
kind of,
circle.
Do a
or maybe
vanity
just
lights
walk
or
by with it and so we can get a better look at it, but,
Falling off of
yeah.
There you
The
go.
question I have is the glass. What is the,
Here. Good Kit Kat.
We're looking to use kind of a neutral gray high performance glass.
okay.
And we've got a Viracon sample here.
Is it one that you can't see in, but you can see out? Is it that sort of a thing or not?
There would be some reflectivity to it, but there would be some visibility in.
Oh, okay. I know that that when the Stillwater Clinic or the medical clinic,
Yeah.
you can't tell, but you can't see in from the outside. They look like clear windows, but you can't see in from the outside. And I thought, wow. But I suppose they're doing more physical examinations of people. So it's, okay. That was,
So it'll have, it'll have the high performance coatings on it, so that does give it some reflectivity.
Okay. yeah, I have to say personally, I think that
Looks really nice.
the renderings of the building look fabulous. I mean,
Yeah, that'll be a really nice improvement to that.
yeah.
Yeah.
block.
Yeah, and I think there are some parts of the city that could stand to be upgraded a little bit, and that's one of them. So I think this is going to be a good thing for the city, from my own personal opinion.
I think those were, at one point, were built in the township. So
Yep.
we're eventually
Yep.
getting rid of some of those old township buildings and replaced with more modern
Well,
buildings.
the Broaster Chicken Building. I mean, that's
Yeah,
the.
exactly.
I don't know if there's any remnants of the Broaster Chicken in there anymore, but
Hey, the smell, baby. The smell is always there.
is it? It's always there. Okay, let's open the public hearing at 6:22. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to talk about this public hearing? The only guy who's not an applicant is shaking his head no. Okay, so hearing none, do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
Make a motion.
Okay.
Second.
And a second. Any discussion about the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 All right.
Okay. So that closes the public hearing Now, back to the planning commission, is there any, the only other comment I wanted to make, and this is maybe my not understanding the city code. I don't understand why when you take multiple parcels and combine them, that you have to plat it. I mean, it doesn't make any sense, unless, I could understand if there were drainage utility easements along the interior property lines, but in this case, that's not the case.
It's just an old provision of the code. We probably should look at that. I mean, if we're gonna do some amendments, we could do administrative approval of a lot combination, more than 2 lots. But
Yeah.
right now, it just says 2 lots, otherwise you have to do a preliminary plan.
Yeah, it seems like a big burden on the
And there's
applicants.
additional expense there.
As a land surveyor, I can tell you that there's no difference in their title, whether they have those parcels put together. They can even go as far as to go to the county assessor and have them, there's a single page document that you fill out and you sign your name and they combine it all into one tax parcel so that they can't further separate it in the future. But, I mean, I understand not wanting somebody to sell off a little piece because it's already an approved lot, but that wouldn't happen if you combined it at the county. So it seems to me like that's something that the staff should be able to handle and I mean, not for now, I mean, it is what it is when you applied, or when they applied, but I just don't get it, why, so. Anyways, that was my little soapbox statement. Does anybody else have anything they want to talk about? Questions, comments?
So the pylon in the front is gonna go away, right? Was that mentioned at the beginning?
No, it's the other way around. They didn't have it shown.
They didn't have it
shown,
shown,
and now
so
it's
they're
getting added.
proposing.
Now they're gonna
assign it.
potentially add one, right? Have you made a decision you're going to add one, or is it?
Yes, commissioners, we would like to have one there. Right now, there's 2 pylons out there, and with the stormwater and drainage that we're still working through with the watershed district, we weren't sure on if either of those could stay or how that was going to work, and so we didn't have it on the original plans,
okay.
somewhat by mistake.
Okay.
And so that's why we added one in as a placeholder.
So, am I correct in my assumption when I looked at the grading plan, there's gonna be some sort of a retaining wall function to the front wall of the north wall of the building?
There may be, and this is going to go way over my technical knowledge.
Maybe the architect knows.
I think it's going to potentially go over his.
Yeah, the civil engineer is the one that really needs to answer the question. There's some back and forth with the watershed about how the water retention needs to perform.
Okay.
It's still a bit open-ended.
Yeah, I know that there's an issue with, not being able to infiltrate in this area because of the,
And right now, our understanding from the watershed is that they don't know whether we can infiltrate or not infiltrate. So we have ordered a separate study that's going to be completed this Friday that will determine that. And then we will know whether we're doing a retaining wall or with the pond as shown, or if we need to do underground tanks.
that'll bring in a whole new wrath from
So
Eric.
Ross, if you do have some plan changes without the retaining wall, if we can have that for the city council, just, and update them on that, that'd be helpful, so.
Absolutely, we can definitely do that. We should.
And I don't see any difference from our standpoint, whether you use the foundation part of the building. I mean, it's not like there's gonna be anything on the other side of it. It's just it's hard on a small site like this to get an area large enough to pond the water, so, long skinny ponds don't give you much volume, and triangular ponds, everybody wants to do a triangular pond, those don't give you hardly any storage, so it's difficult. I get that, so. I just know that infiltrating is something that's near and dear to Eric's heart over here, so he's gonna be, if you decide that you need to infiltrate, you're gonna hear some noise from down the end of the table here.
What is it, Wisdom?
Twisma. I was trying to think of the word, I couldn't think of it.
Maybe it's just the well, your what city well, drinking water.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, that's probably an inside joke more than anything, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, I think maybe so. Except that I just let the cat out of the
That's
bag.
okay.
But otherwise, so as far as the planning commission Do we have anything else we want to talk about, or is there a motion forthcoming?
I would move that we recommend approval to the city council, subject to all the amendments presented, with the addition of the 12th one describing any changes to the addition that would also come back before us if it's substantive.
To the second phase of the
Phase
building?
two.
Correct,
Yeah, okay.
yes.
Yeah. And we're going to leave the bike rack in there?
I'm fine with the bike rack if everyone else is.
Does Aldi have a bike rack?
Huh?
Does Aldi have a bike?
You have to ask Jim.
They don't, they're
He's the only one that knows. Jim is
Heavy.
the only one that knows whether there's bike racks in town.
There is a
In my
long-term
head.
joke with bike racks.
Yeah,
here.
the former planning commission chair had a particular issue with that all the time. So that was the joke at the end of every public hearing. Is there going to be a bike rack or not? So,
I second the motion.
okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any discussion about the motion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
And good luck. We're looking forward to the new building. I think it'll be
That'll be excellent.
Yes, and this will go to the October 26th city council meeting, and Julie will, send you the information in advance. So, once you leave that here, so the council can, no sense in hauling it back and forth, unless you need it for some odd reason. Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
they'll
you.
guard it with their lives.
until it sits in the corner.
With the rest of them.
All the rest of it.
Okay, moving on. 2018 Oak Park Heights Comprehensive Plan Amendment. This amendment requires a public hearing, so is this, Eric, is this one you or Scott? Scott, you gonna
Per se.
enlighten us about
Julie
this?
didn't make me a copy, so I have to.
Oh my gosh, sure. Take mine. I got two of them here.
Oh, do you have two?
No.
Okay.
This one has the wrong date though. Oh my God, that's.
Oh,
So she
yeah.
printed me a second one, and I'm not sure why, but.
I probably could do this without the report.
Yeah,
but,
sure you could.
The comprehensive plan in 2018, within the land use and transportation plans, references a potential road extension from Memorial Avenue, 58th Street to the west. Additionally, within the land use plan, the city had identified an potential annexation area to the west of the business warehouse area known as Curran Center. I use Curran Center as an older term because that's what it was referred to for a number of years, but it is that area where Will Zintel and Stillwater Motors, that entire area was always referred to as Curran Center.
And that's the
That
name
way-
of the plat.
That's
It is the name of the plat in that area. Some of them had been replatted, but yeah, that's,
Yeah, that's
That's
the
where it comes
original
from.
name of it. So, then due to recent changes in land area ownership, since the 2018 plan was adopted, the city staff and city council identified possible amendments for consideration that are outlined. Generally, such amendments are necessary as more than one half of these lands have now been annexed to Stillwater. So when the plan was done, that area was, it's gone back and forth a few times. That was in, not Baytown Township. That was,
It was in Lake Elmo.
is in Lake
And
Elmo,
it went to Stillwater Township.
went to Stillwater Township, yes, thank
that
you.
originally was in Baytown Township,
It was originally Baytown Township, yes.
before I went to Lake Elmo, yeah.
And so the transportation plan map, and you can see it, that's the first attachment, shows to the left of that map, possible extension of 58th Street. I don't know, maybe Eric wants to go in more details of the politics of this, but
Sure.
I'll let you pick up on that.
Sure,
But
the second piece of the concern that is regardless of the comp plan piece about future annexations, the city only considered that road or that possible annexation in a context that the city did the annexation, not that it would be sub to any other party, including the county, the state, whomever, to interpret it the way they may desire to interpret it. Whereas the city's very clear position on it was, if the annexation occurs, the city would consider an extension. And that was essentially being crafted to say the city supports the county's potential road or potentially a state road or something. Well, we've clarified that with the county on a couple occasions, if not 3 times in writing. Still seems to be not heard. So another piece of this is we simply clean up that language, remove that arrow. It will hopefully sink in that that is the city's comprehensive plan change.
Yeah, so we would change the map, and then Eric had mentioned there's a couple of text changes on page 60 and 108. Taking out, again, some of this is no longer valid just because of what has happened with the annexation out there by another entity. So that's, we're proposing what's shown as lined out and highlighted, just to remove from the plan.
One last point, it doesn't mean the city could never do those things, it just simply says it's not what everybody might want it to be interpreted as.
Right.
Can I ask a question? Are you done with your presentation? Or okay, I'm wondering why that whole paragraph isn't struck. I understand the first paragraph, city policy toward annexation is consistent, not aggressively pursuing areas of annexation from townships or from one of the adjoining cities. But the whole next part, that whole paragraph is about that particular piece of property.
But there are certain pieces that were not annexed by the city of Stillwater. So there still is some potential annexation area out there. So we decided to leave it. We decided to leave that in.
Where? Because I went on the county website and looked at it, and the city of Stillwater owns every one of those parcels over there.
No, it's the, let's see if I can zoom in here. This piece right here where the hand is,
The county says the city owns it.
no, that's,
Oh, no, that's in the township.
That's in the
I'm sorry, you're right.
so
You're right.
we have no idea what that would include.
That was the piece that was the recycling yard,
Correct.
the big recycling pit, yeah.
Who knows what happened there.
You're right. You're right.
But certainly the full, more than half of the land is now in the city Stillwater.
Yeah, all the way down to 58th, there's 2 parcels that are in Lake Elmo that are down on what would be 55th Street, which has been discontinued between Manning and just past Memorial.
And to
But-
be fair, I think in your comp plan process, Scott, certainly correct me, the city is tasked by the Met Council to kind of give some thought to future annexations. Just, what are the big picture items here? And that's probably all we talked about it as. It certainly was not decided, not benched in a way that it's gonna be this and gonna be that, but rather these big theories, and that's kind of.
Right. Yeah, we felt that, let's keep that annexation map in, let's keep that language in.
Okay.
Just as kind of what.
All right, well, that answers my question, so. This to me seems more like a housekeeping kind of a issue than it is a change in anything, really. I mean, it's.
But we're still required to do a public hearing.
No, I get that, and I understand why that, why the city desires to amend the comp plan. But to me, it seems like there isn't any new policy being made here. This is more about cleaning up
It's a
the
cleanup.
language in the comp plan the way it is. Yeah. So, okay, are there any other questions for staff, or are there any comments we want to make amongst ourselves, or?
So the city's primary objection to this, it stems from the funding arrangement? Is that my understanding? Or is that the correct understanding?
In terms of the objection to the road,
Right.
I think there's a lot of concerns with the road, but I think the fundamental issue is funding.
Okay.
I know if you speak to some of our retailers, they might give you a different reason why it's a good or bad idea. However, it is being actively interpreted that the city supports the road. Their road, who's theirs, the county. Doesn't mean the city can't do it, or at some point, but they are using this language for their arguments.
Yeah, you know, it seems to me that the nature of that neighborhood, if you will, where the Quick Trip is and Stillwater Motors and some of those businesses there, that traffic will change immensely if that road is connected up to Manning. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but I don't think that the businesses are there are thinking that's going to be such a great deal for them. There's Century Power, there's the backside of Stillwater Motors, and there's
All that retail back there.
yeah, the Quick Trip, and then and then I guess the bank on the corner there.
You know, maybe it could be. I don't know if we know those answers, but what's being said is that this road is in your comp plan city, and thus you de facto support it.
Yeah, and I don't think that was ever the intent.
And the language, you notice the map and the text is possible, you know,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yep.
we're just trying to do some long-range planning. now.
Yep.
You know, that's
Yep.
kinda come.
Was the de facto acceptance of this the entire arrow or just to the boundary line?
That's a good
'Cause you're-
question.
The way you're explaining it sounds like there was expectations that it would be from the
Manning
city all the way to Manning.
Yes, that's correct.
That was my
Strike
thought.
it.
too.
Strike it hard.
That was my thought, is like, because it doesn't extend all the way
Am I
there.
misinterpreting anything?
No, I don't think so.
That's a stern expectation.
Well, and then the real kicker in the end is to say, well, you're going to have to pay for that too.
Yeah.
It's like, hold on a minute. So this is going to be not something that the business is necessarily like in Oak Park Heights. Which, I mean, they can't control everything. I mean, if there's a traffic reason for doing it, then there's a traffic reason for doing it. But making the community that's going to be harmed by it pay for it seems,
So that's part of the strike
Troubling.
too, is but paid for by the developers. Like that's a nice protection clause, but
right.
yeah.
And I think that the upgrade to the road to something that's a major collector, actually an arterial, is what it would turn into, is where the county gets involved, and then they want to share funding with the communities. So it's not all it's not all paid for by the developers. There's a potential development that's been talked about for a long time in that area, with the Hy-Vee and whatnot. I think people have heard that. But they have part that they have to pay for, but the upgrading of the road to a major traffic way is not something that they typically would be paying for. And that's where the county steps in, and the county's saying, well, the city's gonna help us. And that may be the city of Stillwater helping them, but I don't know that the city of Oak Park Heights wants to help for something that might not be advantageous to the city of Oak Park Heights. So I think that's the issue.
Yeah, I wanted to
Seems like-
clarify, that's the second issue, is that the county is trying to force the city to put in this road at the city's expense as part of the,
Force is always so.
well, I read that thinly veiled threat that the commission made about the Allen S. King plant funding.
They'll have a process by which they will set up a battery of expectations, battery of discussions, under which how does the city object? How could the city object to this? So we're familiar with that process, and the city's offered them, the county, an MOU on the front end that says, you want this road, well, okay, so to speak, but you are responsible to pay 100% of the costs. To which we do not receive a meritorious response.
Grumbling, is that what you're thinking?
Yes,
Some
maybe that's.
sort of grumbling?
But on the flip side, they're not proposing to build this in theory till 2024, 2025. Now, who knows? But if the other lands weren't already out of the township, maybe we wouldn't be having this conversation. But from a practical standpoint, this annexation is really never going to happen. I mean, all the way, certainly not all the way to Manning, because it's in Stillwater.
Yeah, right, right.
So would it be a 2-lane highway like it currently is if it was put in there?
There are portions of it that are 3, portions that are 2. They're proposing 12,000 cars a day at a price of $18.1 million. And last summer, they asked the city for $1.4 million of those costs.
I don't want to make it sound like we're not happy with our partners at the county, because we've done a lot of work. The city of Oak Park Heights has done a lot of projects and a lot of things with the county, and they're not the bad guy, you know. But in this particular case, to use that little bit of an item that's in the comp plan is, you know, saying that the city already supports this, even though they've been told, no, that we don't really support it, that's the difficult part.
So, Mr. Chair, there's a public hearing. I don't know if we've opened the public hearing.
Oh, you know, we have not yet.
Active participant.
Do you think that there's someone in the audience that might want to? Okay, so right now it is 43. I'd like to open the public hearing and see if there's anybody in the audience that would like to speak. There's a rustling about.
Jim Kramer, 5475 Oak Green Place North. I have 2 points. First, your meetings seem to have gotten much longer since I left. And number
Starts
two,
with a jab.
I was part of the planning commission when these issues first came up, and nothing in the position of either the planning commission or the city council has changed. And I think the county has always been told the same thing. The developers that came before, I can remember when they came in and basically said, wouldn't it be nice if Oak Park Heights built a road for us? And I can remember the meetings that everyone said in the county, and both the commissioners here as well as the city council said, no, it wouldn't be nice. If you want to build there, you take care of the road. And there was the utility changes and things of that nature. So nothing in the view of, or the city's position, I don't think has changed at all. It's just that I think when we did the comprehensive plan, and some of you were around for the end of that, but when we did the comprehensive plan, I think it was just kind of an oversight. We just took what had probably been there for the last 10 years and we just kind of left it in or whatever. And so what you're being asked to change or to document again is no change at all. And I would suggest that you go along with what Eric is suggesting. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's also what I was kind of getting at, is that this seems to me like it's more a housekeeping thing than it is a policy change. It's really not a policy change. It's just a housekeeping of some of the language that's in the comp plan that need to be updated because the people that are reading it wrong or getting the wrong impression from what they're reading, I guess is what it is. So,
So first, you want a motion to close the public hearing?
yes. So, seeing that there's no one else likely to speak,
I move we close the public hearing.
I second.
we got a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Now we have the issue at hand. Is there any questions or further discussion that needs to take place before we vote on or have a motion?
They just made their recommendation, Scott, obviously, is that sort of that.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Yep. So, do I have a motion then?
I move we recommend recommend the 2 amendments on the comp plan to the city council as presented.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve as presented the 2 items.
Yeah, it's actually 3 items, so it's map and two separate pages. So.
Okay. All right. Yep. So the 3 items, but
3.
anyways, as proposed, do we have any questions about the motion or any comments or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Yeah, so it's page 60, page 102, and page 108. So
Yeah. So page 108 is another map, right?
No,
Page 102.
Page 108 is text.
Oh, the text, okay. Okay, yeah. So it's just on the transportation sheet, as far as the map goes.
Exactly. Transportation plan.
Yeah, okay. Then that's exactly what I thought it was. Okay, that ends the public hearing portion of the meeting. New business, we have nothing. Old business, we have nothing. And under informational, we have the list of upcoming meetings that I'm sure everybody's poured over. And does anybody have any questions or comments about that? We also have the council representative, Commissioner Van Dyke for October 26th and Vandenberg for November 23rd. Okay,
I noticed we had the new red additions for the new types of meetings. Was there a particular reason
why they're red?
or just that, I just noted the addition. I was just wondering now.
Socially.
I don't know. if-
It says-
Maybe
Oh,
they're just not the regularly scheduled meetings.
Those are correct, and then also we post them that way, because they tend, well, they're not official city council meetings per se, but council members, you might see a quorum there, and so they're only intended
gotcha.
to be, what's the word, Dr. Scott, we talked about, just informal gatherings or celebratory things.
No, we're gonna get together and
Right.
pass law.
So we shake, see, I see, Tyler, I read on them too.
The heavy, someone's got to be the heavy.
And I don't know if we've had anybody from the council at the King Plan Advisory Panel meeting. Well, I guess we've always had a representative there, just like the Planning Commission does, so.
Actually, probably not, because the council's intentionally staying out of it.
Yeah, we're not allowed to go.
No,
Eric won't let me.
wasn't there, was Mike on one of the Zoom meetings, or no, maybe
No,
I'm,
they're allowed to watch, anybody, they're open to the public,
oh, okay.
and people are allowed to watch, but they're really not, nobody's, other than the panel members themselves are allowed to.
I could have swore that he was at one of them, on one of the Zoom meetings, but, yeah, I didn't.
They're certainly open to the public, people can watch.
Yeah. Okay. But are the ones in red, are those are not normally scheduled meetings? Is that the idea?
Generally.
Yeah.
And we do put a definition at the bottom for more, what the red.
No, more social events in nature. Okay.
When you said there might be a quorum, it's like, now I'll get it.
Yeah. Open meeting laws.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. One last item of business, my favorite.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Aye.
We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And Jim, you're absolutely right. This is the longest meeting we've had.
Over a year.
Yeah.
At least a year.
Because I came, right?
Well, yeah, I mean,
down so
you wanted to see you were getting your money's worth with the planning commission. That, all that money we get paid for our,
Were you gonna attend the next planning commission meeting for some reason?
the next planning commission or council?
The council, sorry. the council.
I went